Warning: the following show features stunts performed by a complete jackass without the supervision of professionals. Accordingly, EUC Chronicles must insist that no one attempt to ride without gear or reenact any stunt or activity performed on this show.
What's up, gang? Flip here, EUC Chronicles in Ja building, back with another one. Before we get started on this episode, I want to give a huge, super big shout out to Zen Lee. Thanks, Zen. I appreciate the hookup for the Clark pads for my MSX finally. So I just want to give a super huge shout out. I put a clip in the end of this episode so you can see how they work and how they look and all that stuff. But for right now, let's just get into the video. All right, for this week's episode, we are coming to you from one of my favorite spots, which is the old Walmart food parking lot. This is where it all clicked for me for riding an electric unicycle and actually learn how to ride. And this is one of my favorite areas, so it gives me a great place to practice. A very smooth, flat surface, no potholes, no nothing. And as you can see, there's very few cars. The fact that there's this many cars over here is surprising, but now people are starting to get smart and park their car over here and take the bus and all this stuff. But usually this parking lot is completely empty. And as you can see in the video, I am getting reacquainted with riding backwards on my new electric unicycle, which is the MSX. You've seen in my older videos me riding on my Z6 with no problem riding backwards. And I was getting some practice in probably a few weeks on the Tesla before the MSX showed up. But riding backwards on the Z6 is not like riding backwards on any other electric unicycle out there. Riding on a Z6 with that 4-inch wide tire is probably one of for me, one of the best and easiest way for me to get riding backwards to click in my brain. So when you look at my older video, maybe I'll put the little thing up there so you can, for the newer people who haven't seen it. The advantage of the Z6 is the fact that, like I said, that tire is so wide, and not only is the tire so wide, once that Z6 gets rolling like above like 5 miles an hour, that thing just wants to stay upright no matter what. Like, it's just something about that wheel, it just wants to stay upright. So it's very easy to practice riding backwards with. And not only just easy to ride backwards with, but I think more importantly, as we talk about clicking and getting things to just snap in your brain, I think that's really the most important aspect of learning how to ride backwards, is just getting it to click in your brain, getting it all to make sense. So in this video, I'm still a beginner, so I'm not really here to tell you or do one of those here's how to ride backwards videos. Plus there's plenty of them on YouTube. You guys can look up from people who've been riding a lot longer than me, riding backwards. This is just more so of like what I've done and what's helped me kind of overcome and actually get it to click in my head. And like I said earlier with the Z6, that was probably the first thing to really just make it make sense, was having that Z6. But I can give you some tips that worked for me, and hopefully for beginner riders, this will help you kind of ease into the whole riding backwards aspect a little bit better. First thing I would say is, like what I'm doing right now, is find yourself a nice open space. It's not just for you to have the space to move around, but it's also for your brain just to know that there's not cars behind you or there's not a fence behind you. It's just, like I said, this is more of a mental thing, in my opinion, just as much as it is a physical control. Having just a nice open space, and that's the same reason why it was easy for me to learn how to ride electric unicycle in that area, riding forwards, was just that I had this nice wide open flat smooth surface, and it was just ideal to just get things to go, and that's where it happened for me. Having a nice open space where there's really not much behind you, or having a space where you have grass on either side of you, so if you kind of feel that you're gonna bail or you want to fall off, you can kind of drift to one side or the other and just kind of hit the grass if for emergency fall. Now, a lot of people will tell you to, use a fence or use a rail or something like that. And I tried that. And for me, using a rail or using something, to hold on to kind of made things a lot harder. And it also made my direction never stay straight because my body was kind of leaning to one side or the other. So it just kind of threw me off balance. A huge tip for anyone who's like really just starting out to ride backwards, who's really like, this is maybe like your first or second attempt of trying to do it. I cannot stress enough to lower your tire pressure. Lower your tire pressure. If you're riding at 35 psi, drop it down to 18. Now, warning and disclaimer: do not do this if you do not have a completely flat surface to practice on. If you have nicks or bumps or anything in the road that's going to smack your rim, do not do this. This is why it is important, and I stress, to find a nice flat surface, an area that you can practice on where there's no potholes, there's no surprises. But lowering your tire pressure will relieve so much headache in riding backwards, starting off, because it takes away all this unnecessary wobble and the not having the stability that you really need for your brain and for your body. So like I said, I cannot stress this enough. I didn't do it too much on the Z6 actually. I did it more on the Tesla. I definitely did it on the Tesla, and it really helped on the Tesla because everybody knows the Tesla has the 2.4. I think I was doing it when I did the tire up after I did the tire upgrade, so I probably had the 2.4 knobby on there, which is now it's but yeah, lowering the pressure seriously helped. The Z6, I didn't have to lower the pressure that much. I think I probably dropped it down maybe 5 psi or something like that. But lowering your tire pressure will do wonders for you. And for anybody who's had a lot of difficulty trying to get the riding backwards down, trust me when I tell you, lower your pressure. Now, if you don't have access to a tire pump or anything like that to put your pressure back up, then I understand why you're a little bit hesitant to lower your pressure. But if you have a pump or air compressor in your house or something like that, then please trust me on this one, lower your tire pressure. After you do that, you'll notice a significant difference in the stability you have in riding backwards, and you'll build a little bit more confidence. And like I said, this whole thing is to get it to click in your brain more so than in your body, because if you can alleviate the fear in your mind, your body will follow. That's also why I'm riding in this open parking lot, because I can ride backwards and I don't have, even though you have to look back, but initially I don't necessarily have to keep looking back or keep my head looking over my shoulders, where for some people that's going to throw your balance off, because you're going to want to lean to the side that your head is turned. And that's another problem for some people starting off. So make sure you have the room, and make sure that if you do have an open space like that you can go back for a few feet without smacking into anything, and that would also help you. Like I said, you saw in the video, sometimes I would grab onto a pole or something like that. That's also good too. Like if you have a pole that you can grab onto that's kind of centered, where that will keep you not having to lean to one side or the other, it's also a huge help. Also, the other most important thing is you have to have patience. A lot of people want to try new stunts, new tricks, and whatever, but they do not want to give themselves enough time to learn and develop. They just kind of want things to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight. It all depends on what kind of will you have, what kind of prior experience you have. I would also attribute it to, your leg muscles and how physically strong you are, because that's going to have some effect on how long you're going to be able to keep up, this practice of riding back and forth and stuff like that, and keeping yourself balanced. So give yourself enough time to learn, give yourself enough time to practice. And I know riding backwards is not an easy thing to do, but if you rewind your tape of when you first started riding your EUC and put yourself back in that first day of when you got it, riding, learning how to ride forwards wasn't easy either, and riding backwards and riding forwards is basically the same thing. There's a few more extra steps. But if you're out there with, your wheel with tire pressure up and a confined space and a bumpy space, you have so many things that your mind has to work on and your body has to work on at the same time, versus then alleviating a lot of these things from the beginning and giving you more of a solid space for you to operate and for you to practice. So these are my tips and tricks for riding backwards. Like I said, I am no professional at all, and I'm just very new to this as everybody else, but I'm starting to get it a lot easier, as you can see, and I'm trying to get to the point where I can do these pendulums and just kind of rock back and forth and stay on my wheel, and that definitely requires some muscle control and some strength, because I can feel it in my feet. After I'm done doing all these exercises, you can feel it definitely in your feet and in your calves and stuff like that. So I'm definitely gonna have to hit the gym up as well, and do a little strength training. But yeah, man, that's my tips and tricks, man. Lower your tire pressure, find a nice wide open space to practice, and give yourself some time, have some patience. And like I said, if you need to find a wall to lean on or something to hold on to, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, it just didn't help. It hindered me more than it actually helped. Yeah, and that's it. So once again, super duper shout out to Zen Lee, man. I appreciate these Clark pads. You have no idea. When I got this wheel from Seth, he sent me some, they're like basically 3D printed hooks, which were, they were pretty cool, but I didn't feel locked in. And I keep hearing people talk about the locked in feeling with the Clark pads, and now I totally get what you mean. I feel extremely locked in. I don't need to power up my jumps. I can just literally just lift off with my feet and get into the air. As you see me bunny hopping over these potholes and the manhole covers, I'm not loading up before I do that. I'm just literally just taking off, and that's the one thing that I noticed with the Clark pads. I didn't have the ability with the hook pad. So thanks, Zen. I appreciate it. And next video, you're gonna see some Jumpy McJump back again. You guys have a good one. I appreciate you hanging out to the end of this video. Peace.